we're a fishing tribe, and we're also a canoe tribe. We live on the water, and fishing has always been a part of our life. And as a child, I can remember catching 50-pound salmon out of our river, and this was in the late 50s and 60s, and at that time we still had fish in the river. Now you don't see any of that anymore, and hopefully when these dams are taken out and the fish are restored, we're going to see these big runs come back, and I'm hoping to be around. I'm glad to be here to watch the dams being taken out, but I'm hoping I'm around when those fish come back.
I remember growing up and living down here and basically using the river as our playground, through the summer months, the winter months, mainly remembering the flooding and the issues we had. But also hearing the elders talk about the dam project, and not really at that time clearly understanding, but knowing the importance of the salmon as well, that we hosted dinners on, and still not clearly understanding the process and the ongoing events that they have. But listening to them in general areas talking a lot about the dam project and how it had damaged our ecosystems, on how it had damaged the runs that were depleting, and the concerns that they had of our livelihoods. But also they talked about the boat decision in the interim processes and how they weren't able to fish in the rivers, and they were being arrested, and their food sources were being taken. Good morning, Ollie. Good morning,
The dam ceremony, that celebration was just phenomenal. I think security intimidated a lot of people. We'll start with that. But once you were there and down there on the site, you could see a lot of tears from the elders. That was very happy tears and sad tears. Happy to see it coming, sad tears because it's been way too long.
Very special. Okay, good. Very special and long in coming. But we're excited.
Hello, how are you?
Very, very productive in the language. So are you?
Good. Fantastic.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for doing this today.
Washington, watch.
Congratulations.
Governor, senators, Francis.
Very productive in the language program. Oh, very good. Leaders that have gone to several youth conferences. What year in school are you?
I'm in
eighth grade.
And I know that day just being there and being very humbled and honored to be the tribal chair and our council, our current council. The mixture that we have, it was very honoring. I mean, I think that whole day I was numb until the end of the day with disbelief that, oh my God, this is really happening in our time frame.
Thank you for coming. I'm Russ, the Vice Chairman.
Oh, great.
Thank
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks. Long time coming.
Yeah, I know it. I gave him, that's a long time.
Well, we had a big champion here.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. The elders, you get a lot of knowledge handed down from them. And kind of when they speak, we listen. They were, I think they were almost speechless at first. You know, I was down there and I'd ask them, can I get you a water, anything? And they were just, no, I'm fine. Let's just get this going. We're waiting too long. So it was exciting for them.
Here we are, and this day is a gift. This event is a gift. We're going to remove what is the first of its kind, the tallest dam upriver that has ever been removed. And we're going to celebrate this today. We are celebrating. Well, we're going to have a blessing from Ben Charles Sr. Wherever you wish, sir. Wherever you wish.
Whoops. Praise the Lord. My goodness. I don't know if you feel the power here, but there's a lot of positive power here. And we look all around us, you know. Well, we look around us here, but I'm looking up there. You know, in Hebrews 12:1, it says, we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses. And it's true, you know. Answered prayers today. Answered prayers all down through the years. Many of those prayers have gone up. Great-great-great-grandpas, grandmas, aunties, uncles, relatives who lived on these waters prayed when they saw damages done. So many things ran through their minds. And all of the things that I guess we call progress, you know, began to happen. Many tears were shed. Many lives cut short, you know, because all of their surplus was being damaged, being taken away. And I can hear their prayers. I can see them as they're standing up there now, surrounding us. Great cloud of witnesses. You can't see them maybe, but I can see them. And they're smiling. So many of them are so happy. Some of them are crying. You know, because I guess they're the ones, that prayed in earnest and just sought the Lord. And so many times it seemed prayers were in vain. So many of the things that they were hoping for just seemed to fly away. But Creator was watching. Creator saw, and Creator said, I'm taking care of it. Isn't that something? I told somebody here this morning, I said, 100 years, that's a long time to us. But to Creator, it's just a snap. just a blink of an eye. Scripture says that 1,000 years is as a day, and a day is as 1,000 years to Him. But to us, 1 hour is a long time. It's so good to see all of our dignitaries here. It's a privilege, to see the governor, to see the tribal chair, representatives, senators, all of you, and just know that they're here because of what's happening and the excitement that's going on. I look, at our elders, and I think to myself, wow, we get to see this, we get to partake of it, and to know that prayers are answered. Prayers are answered, even though so many times we weep, we pray, we weep some more, we pray some more. Some of us even give up, and we think, what's the use? What's the use? Our Creator says, oh, come on. You're just about there. You're just about there. Grandpa Sam, I was told of the story of our sleeping giants that we have up here, a man and a woman. And he says, one of these days, those giants are going to be awakened. They were caretakers of this land, and somehow they were tricked into eating food that put them to sleep. They're waking up. Yeah. Oh, glory to God. They're waking up. We have up here a young woman who's worked so hard to see that these things were taken care of. Every day, these are in my prayers. And every day, I pray courage, strength, backbone into their lives. Because even our own people many times don't understand, They grump around. So I say, Lord, give her backbone, strong. Even if she's nuxcliampsed, she still needs stronger. Yeah. Nuxcliampsed, that's clallam for strong people. So, such a beautiful day. Such a great cloud of witnesses, loved ones who are just watching. Oh, thank you again, Creator. This is a blessed day. This is a time that so many eyes have looked forward to. So many prayers have been directed to. So many actions have been directed toward. And today, we see a beginning of the answer to that. I thank you for everyone who has worked toward this time, toward this effort. And I just ask that you would bless them, that you would keep them in your hand. So many of us struggle physically, but we just continue on. And so I just ask that you would strengthen each one. Encourage hearts. Bless our time of fellowship today, our time of rejoicing. We just commit it all into your hands, thanking you for all of these that are here. We know that there are those who don't like this, but I just ask that you be with them. Keep them in your hand. Help them to know we pray for them, we love them, and we thank you that they keep us aware of things that could happen. So I just ask you today, bless this time. Bless all of these that are here. Bless your people, I pray. We ask in the name of the Lord and for his glory. Amen. Praise God.
This is a milestone. It is an incredible milestone for Port Angeles and the community, for the tribe, for the National Park Service, and really for the country as a whole. This is a story of persistence. It's a story of resilience, of people, of those fish that are waiting right down below the dam, of this ecosystem that we can see up into an Olympic National Park, an ecosystem that has been awaiting repair and restoration. There's been a lot of great recognition of the extraordinary work of members of Congress, both past and present, that have kept this on track. And obviously we would not be here today if they had not passed the bill, if they had not crafted it in the way it was eventually passed, if they had not been persistent over time. But I want to really put a great deal of emphasis on the lower Elwha tribe, that it was the elders that kept the memory alive. It was the elders that passed that knowledge, the knowledge of this river in its origin, in its history. They passed it on to their daughters and their sons. And what I love about that is that, and this is true not only of the lower Elwha tribe, but all tribes, is that they don't forget. They don't move on. They remember, and they persistently seek restoration of what was once. I also want to compliment the community of Port Angeles and the peninsula. This has been a peninsula in transition for a long time. And there's been a great deal of uncertainty about the future, about the economy, about jobs. But this is evidence that people here were willing to take the risk, to try something different, to invest in a new idea and a new approach and a restoration of this river that I believe will be the source of a new economy, and a new community, and a new level of tourism to this great place.
Now, as the Commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation, it's my responsibility for the record to say that dam removal is not the best option everywhere. But it is the best option here. And it's the best option in a lot of places because the process that we're going through these days is we're reassessing the cost and benefits of certain facilities that exist today. And here, with these two dams, and the impact and the costs associated with those dams, and how they've affected this watershed, and in particular how they've affected the lower Elwha tribe. That reassessment process, I think, began here, and it's something that's being carried out in other areas of the country. And so I think, this is not only a historic moment here, but it's going to lead to historic moments elsewhere across the country.
He's been honored in many stand-in ovations on the national levels, and it is my honor and my privilege to introduce Larry Elwha to Clallam country.
Good afternoon. I came here to celebrate with the people of the lower Elwha and to rejoice with them. But I've already felt like I am the recipient of a blessing to be here, to listen to the words, but also to the song and observe the dance that has helped me to feel a special spirit of the people of the lower Elwha. Today is a day of restoration, a day of healing, and a day of hope. This is a huge step in restoration of a free-flowing river, of a habitat that will bring back the natural plants and animals to this stretch of that free-flowing river. But it's also a restoration of a traditional way of life of the people. It's a day of healing because the people of the lower Elwha are a treaty nation. They entered into a treaty in 1855 that gave the word of the United States that they would be able to continue their way of life and to live off the abundant resources of that free-flowing river. Although the U.S. Constitution says that treaties are the supreme law of the land, the people of the lower Elwha saw only injustice for about 100 years. And they suffered injury and loss and pain. But there is a healing now because that is changing. This is a day of hope, not only for the people of the lower Elwha, and I've felt ancestors of the past looking down on this event today, but all of Indian country is here in spirit, and their eyes are focused upon the people of the lower Elwha. And I simply say, thanks to all that made this restoration, this healing, and this hope possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and what a celebration today. Many of us here on the stage have the opportunity to look the other way and see the beauty of this incredible place. And so I want to thank Secretary Salazar for being here, the governor. It's a pleasure to be here with my colleagues, Senator Murray and Congressman Dix, and obviously Senator Bradley. Thank you for your inspiration and contribution. And both of the last two speakers, working with both Mike and Larry, has been a great pleasure in Washington, D.C. We are here to celebrate a better future. In Washington State, we take great pride in our pristine waterways, our majestical landscapes, and our abundant wildlife. And we recognize the importance of all of those to our quality of life and to our health. For centuries, bodies of water that surrounded us have helped shape and define our culture, our people, and our way of living. And while it has been decades in the making, as the great champions Congressman Norm Dix and Chairwoman Frances Charles know better than anyone, Today marks an incredible milestone. Today marks one of the largest restoration projects in the history of our state, the return of a river to its natural state and to recapture the salmon runs, and an historic effort to return to balance, to give Mother Nature a chance. The uninterrupted flow of this river will not only return coho and steelhead and chinook, but also bring back bears and otters and eagles and give us a chance to continue to celebrate. We are celebrating also a cultural renewal of the Lower Elwha Sklallam tribe. Tribal members will once again have access to sacred lands that have been covered by water. And this is a proud victory for their heritage and the culture of the Sklallam people. I know Frances Charles well, and I know that Sklallam means strong people. I can guarantee you she is one strong person. Our federal land managers deserve thanks, and more than 3 million people visit the Olympic National Park each year, a key economic engine for our area, and today marks a commitment to that, to make sure that our rivers and lands and waterways will be healthy for future generations to come here and visit. And once restored, the Elwha will run free. It will resume the powerful run from the Olympic Mountains through old-growth forests to the Strait of Juan de Fuca. And that Elwha River Restoration Project is one of the most ambitious salmon habitat restoration projects our nation has ever seen. So this is so important to healthy salmon runs and environmental sustainability, and part of our economy, part of our culture, part of our identity. And healthy salmon ecosystems support thousands of jobs and billions of dollars of economic revenue and activity for our state. So I will continue to fight along with Senator Murray to make sure that we are sustaining wild salmon populations and fight for salmon strongholds. I also want to make an important note, as Dan Evans did in the paper this morning, about this is a victory for the Land and Water Conservation Fund that Scoop Jackson originally championed. Over $30 million in the Land and Water Conservation Fund were used to help move this process forward. That's why that program continues to be so important. So congratulations to everyone here today. There is so much work that has gone on in this area. You should all be proud. And as the rise of the Elwha passes through this waterway, let's all rise with it, because we are here for a better future. Thank you very much.
Well, Karen, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what an exciting day this is. I can't believe it's finally here. I want to congratulate and thank National Park Director John Jarvis and his staff, especially Superintendent Karen Guston and all of her predecessors for their dedication to this project. And I too want to thank the strong Chairwoman Frances Charles. It's great to be here with you today. And really to all of the Lower Elwha Sklallam tribe for your diligence and for never giving up and for your partnership with the park to bring us here today. It's been a real pleasure for me working with Congressman Dix and Senator Cantwell, standing on the shoulders of Senator Bill Bradley and so many people who made today possible. Thank you so much. And finally, and most importantly, thank you to this entire community for everything you have done to move this project forward. You know, when I was first elected to the Senate back in 1992, one of the first things I actually heard about was this Elwha Dam project. Seemed like a good idea. People have been talking about it since the 1970s. I just assumed that that dam would be down by, like, say, 1995. But as all of you know, it hasn't worked out that way exactly, and this project has faced a lot of barriers and a lot of roadblocks along the way. But you know something, year after year, this community never gave up. You knew the benefits of removing these 2 dams that far outweighed the benefits of keeping them, and I was so proud to be your voice and to fight for those funds back in the U.S. Senate to make sure you had the resources you needed to succeed. Resources like the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which was such a key component in the effort to fund this project. And I agree with Senator Cantwell, today really is a great example of why it is critical that we provide adequate support for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So now, because not one of you gave up on this mission, we are finally here to witness this truly historic undertaking. This effort will be remembered as a success story for community partnerships, for balanced resource management, and the power of a community coming together and achieving real results. I can't wait to come back here to see the Elwha waters flowing free once again, to see the salmon returning to spawn, and the economic support that this removal will provide. Today is an amazing day for so many reasons. Communities will see the Elwha River returning to its health and its people being put to work. They will see tourism expand and outdoor activities that will happen with the wildlife population that's returning. And the investments in this community will set this region up for critical long-term economic growth. That's why I'm so proud to be here as part of something that is not only changing the course of history, but also changing the people and the culture of the Pacific Northwest. So I'm so proud to be here to celebrate with all of you. And Karen, yes, I do give you my commitment to keep working with you to make sure this project gets completed. Thank you so much.
On his office wall is a gigantic salmon that weighed 54 pounds that he caught 7 years ago. I know he's looking forward to the day when he can hook an even bigger fish here. So it's my pleasure and honor to introduce Congressman Norm Dix.
Thank you, Karen, for that very generous introduction. Secretary Salazar, Governor Gregoire, Senators, Francis Charles, Karen, again, former Senator Bill Bradley, who was the key person in the Senate subcommittee chairman that got this bill authorized back in 1992. And I was a co-sponsor. I talked to Al Swift, who was the senator's counterpart in the House of Representatives when this bill was passed. And he reminded me that he had to keep elbowing Dingell's staff in order to make sure that this thing happened, as you recalled last night. And Senator, we're glad you came out. And there was a fundraiser last night for the Elwha tribe, for the students. And the Senator gave a great speech and recalled why he, in fact, supported this legislation from the start. I'm glad to be here. A few years ago, I brought the Interior Appropriations Subcommittee out to the state of Washington when Ralph Regula from Ohio was chairman. And we went to Hurricane Ridge. Then we came up here and looked at the Elwha Dam. And I said, you know, we've been funding this regularly, and I hope you guys can stay with me. Well, they were so excited about this project, they wanted to finish it. And I called Jarvis. He said, no, you can't do that. It's got to be increments, 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 because it'll take all the money out of the Park Service budget if we did this all at once. And Brian Winter, is Brian here? Stand up, Brian Winter. Brian has had to take a number of my phone calls, Billy, you know how that works, over the years to remind him, we've got to hold the lid on this thing. But anyway, and I want to thank Senator Murray, especially, who's been my counterpart over in the Senate. You know, you get this thing through the House, you still got to get it through the Senate. And Senator Murray, Senator Cantwell have been great friends and great supporters of this project. When I worked for Senator Magnuson, who was chairman of the Appropriations Committee, he used to say to me, Norm, you know, the Appropriations Committee is where the kitchen work is done. You don't get a lot of recognition, but you get reelected, okay? And I want you to know, this has been the longest struggle. I thought 10 years on the tanker was the longest struggle. This, by far, has been the longest struggle. One of my staff members, Pete Modoff, who I want to give Pete a round of applause. He's not here, but he did a great job. We had to get a tri-party agreement between the City of Port Angeles and the tribe and the Park Service. And Brian was right in the middle of this whole thing. And I said to Modoff in August, I said, you go out there, you stay at the Red Lion, and don't come back until you get this agreement. Well, 3 weeks later, we got the agreement. So, and that's what I call commitment. And Pete's still trying to get over it. But I just want you to know, I think this project is so exciting because you look up, look, this view is just amazing. And you think about 321 square miles of watershed. 321, 70 miles of habitat going up. This river goes into the national park for 70 miles. That is phenomenal. And that is going to give us a chance. It was so great to see the salmon right there against the dam, bumping their heads up after 100 years. This is, in 2013, we'll have this done, but it will have taken 100 years to get this job done. And those salmon are still wanting to go upstream, and we're going to make it possible for them to do that. Now, I want to recognize, before I forget, my wife Susie, who is here, who's a native of the state of Washington, my son David, who also has had many suggestions for me on environmental projects over the years. And, restoration is an important objective. And think about it. We've done 4 or 5 major water plants up here and a hatchery, and all those things have already been done and put in place. And it was all because of the legislation that Senator Bradley authorized and that Tom Jensen and Terry Bracey did the staff work for on both the House and Senate side. This was a joint effort. And restoration is very important, and we have a chance here to restore these incredible salmon. And I still have this dream of a 100-pound king salmon, Billy. You and I will be up there playing this thing, and I hope you have to net it, okay? But I also want to pay great respect to the tribe. The tribe has been steadfast. Sometimes almost a little too steadfast, but we keep working on these issues, and it's been a fun 18 years. And I misspoke last night, Senator. I said 14 appropriations. I checked again today, and we're going to have to do a 15th in 2013, which will be 100 years from when this dam was put into place. So this is the kind of thing I love. This is the kind of thing my parents, Horace and Eileen Dix, used to bring me up here to the Olympic Peninsula. I was a salmon fisherman. I fished out of Nia Bay for many, many years, out of Port Angeles. I didn't do a lot of river fishing, but I'm getting ready. But I just want to say this is so important to the Olympic Peninsula. And I, again, celebrate the tribe for Robert Ellefson, who did so much good work on this, for their commitment, their dream that the Elwha would return. And they convinced us that this was a project worth doing. And you know, the Elwhas were right. Francis, you were right. And I'm glad we're doing it. Thank you.
Francis is currently the tribal chairwoman of the Lower Elwha Clallam tribe and has served the tribe for 16 years. She played a vital role in the recovery of Tiwitsin, one of the largest archaeological recoveries in the Northwest. Francis took a lead role in the negotiation process for the ancient Clallam village on behalf of her people and their ancestors, and as a leader for her community, she has done a great job in upholding Clallam cultural values. She has been involved in the culture of the Lower Elwha Clallam tribe most of her life is an active supporter of the annual Tribal Canoe Journey, as well as the language program, Indian education, and honoring tribal veterans, the youth, and the elders of the tribe. We are fortunate to work with Francis Charles and the Elwha.
What a beautiful day, huh? Before I get started, I'm going to ask that our tribal community members stand up, our veterans stand up, and our youth stand up. If it wasn't for the support and the commitments that we've had from our people, we wouldn't be here today. Ben said it very clearly and very strengtheningly with his words and his prayers. We've heard before us from all of the dignitaries that had carried on the words and the power that we had imposed with one another through many generations. We have the prayers of the Creator to thank, our ancestors that are looking down upon us. This is a historical event. It's something that our children won't ever forget, and our elders are here to witness it. And we thank those that have gone before us, that had supported us and given us the words and the verbiages and the encouragement to carry on. Our elders, our veterans, our youth, the community surrounding, our previous tribal council, and there are so many more, only to name a few, that had supported us and worked with us, our staff that had worked behind the closed doors for endless hours, thankless days at times, and the travels that we have taken away with our families. We've been on the road. I am one of those that had carried it on from the generations. My father, Gerald, was the chair at one time. My mother, the secretary, Vera. My sister, Lorna, my brother, Rod, and I follow those paths that they had started, as well as so many of you that have served on council, and our elders that have given us the guidance. The partnerships that we have up here on this platform, we could not have succeeded without their support and their unities as we carried on with this historical event. Congressman Norm Dix, the Olympic National Park, Kara Gustin, and many more of you out there. Senator Patty Murray, with the strength and the courage that she has given us, not only for the restoration aspects of it, but for supporting our veterans. We really thank her for the support she gives not only the Indian communities, but all nations out there. Maria Cantwell, our hearts go out to her for the strength and the courage that she has given us, for not only walking with us on the Chiweetson village site on a weekend to truly understand the heartbreak and the misery that we were going through with the protection of our ancestors. We couldn't have done it without the agencies that supported us when we thought we were going to be beating our head, as the Chinook and the Salmon are as of today, without the resources and the funding that we had lacked with Stan Speaks. The BIA had stepped up many times and have given us some resources, DOI with Larry Eckelhawk and many of the other agencies out there. The private industries, the nonprofit organizations that had stepped forward to make this successful. The other nations, all of the other tribes, they have waited for this day. When we have gone to national conferences, they had stood with us. They had resolutions on the floor, seconding it, moving it forward for what has taken place today. There's one that I cannot forget is Pearl Ballard, the president of the Quinault Nation. Many times we had walked the halls together, and I swear Pearl knew more about Lower Elwha than she did her own Quinault Nation on the northern boundary aspects. Our lawyers, Lindy Wells, Russell Bush, Our heart goes out to them for the encouragements that they had given us and the strength and the backbones that they had provided with the language and interpreting the laws that we were challenged with and the way we had to go with that path. All of the other agencies, the present staff, the previous staff, and the creations that we had provided with one another to carry on this, stories that we had heard earlier from Ben, of the creation site that is behind you, and the Lady of the Mountain that is waiting for the day to come when this river will be free and flowing so freely as we've been patiently waiting. We do have patience. We have waited 100 years for our ancestors, for our community, and for our youth to step forward for this event to take place. And before I close, there is one in the audience that I have to call up here to the podium with me and have a few words with his encouragement and his strength that he has provided to all Indian countries with the natural resources and protecting those salmon, as he would say, those damn Chinook in the river. Billy Frank, will you please come to the podium?
Thank you, Francis. Well, here we are. And it's just a wonderful sight here to see all of you out here. You know, Larry talked about it a little bit earlier, but the Elwha tribe and Norm talked. They never gave up. This lady right here, you know, never gave up. She just kept on course. The dams will come down. And here we are today witnessing what's going on here today. It's a great event that's happening right now. You know, it's something that our vision is that the Pacific salmon will survive. The Pacific salmon that migrates out of here and travels clean to the Aleutian Islands, the steelhead, the coho, the chum and the pinks, the sockeye, them salmon will all survive here in the Great Northwest. They have to, you know, because this is what it's all about, taking these dams out and opening that 40, 50, 70, 100 miles up the river, you know, for this watershed to free again. You know, I can see this estuary down here coming to life, you know, where the gooey ducks and the clams and everything is spurting up again out here. This water's free, flowing free out here. And the Elwha tribe, for the last 100 years, they have sitting idle, trying to get these dams down. And that dream has always been there. And when you say the Elwha people are strong, you're damn right they're strong.
Thank you, Billy. And again, we would like to thank John Jarvis, Michael Connor, Larry Eckelhoff, Maria Cantwell, Patty Murray, and Norm Dix, and the Olympic National Park that had supported us and worked with us through this duration and this process. So let's get those dams down and let's celebrate today. And thank you, community. Hotmanson.
Well, thank you, Karen, and hello, everyone. It's just great for me to be here. Ken, I want you to know that Billy Frank was on his absolute best behavior today. The reference to dam usually isn't a reference to a facility like this. Billy, I want to thank you. I've never seen you on that kind of good behavior. It is a historic moment.
That was the shortest speech I've ever
And that's
heard.
short speech, yeah. You never, ever give the mic to Billy. Yeah. So I join, thank you, all of you, great leaders who've made this day possible. It's just an honor for me to be here. I join in the thanks to the many individuals who made this event possible. A thanks to my staff, John, and thank you, Skylar. To all of you who've made this day possible. It's taken a long time and a lot of hard work, persistence and courage and passion, and I thank you for it. I come not on behalf of just myself, but I come on behalf of every governor who's had the honor to serve before me that stood tall and said, we need to get this done. And I thank them for all of what they were able to do. We are here today to say, free that beautiful Elwha River. Let her run free. We're here to say, welcome back to the salmon. We want you to live free again. There are a grand total in that pool over there. Someone counted them yesterday, 73 salmon, not 72, not 74. I love people with fisheries and wildlife. They're exactly 73, Governor. So to those we say, we want 73,000 more. Welcome back, come on back. That's what this day is all about. I know 100 years, Ben, is a short time, but for us mortals, it's a really long time. So this is truly a historic event. The largest dam removal in the United States. I couldn't be more happy to be here on behalf of the people of the great state of Washington. It's happening in the largest watershed of one of America's most loved, America's most pristine places, the Olympic National Park. Karen, I got to tell you, you are blessed to have this job. In the next 3 years or so, the Elwha and the Glines will be gone. And this once beautiful river can go back to where she was 100 years ago. She can go back to being the great mother of so much that we have lost. Because what we have lost will finally be returned. 300,000 salmon instead of what we have now. And that's all 5 species of Pacific salmon. And we won't restore the salmon just to the Elwha, but as Billy suggests, to all the tributaries. Bears, eagles, and other animals that once depended on the fish for food. The return of the spiritual and cultural source of strength for the lower Elwha Clallam tribe. This is a time for personal reflections, and I want to tell you about an event that I attended about a year ago. I went to Walla Walla, and there we had returned the water to a stream. I was with the Umatilla tribe, and we welcomed back the first salmon in 100 years. I watched as the Umatillas fished on a platform. I watched as the elders welled up with tears and cried. We then said a blessing to the Creator, and then we ate one of those first salmon from that stream to celebrate. Can you imagine what it will be like when we see those 300,000 come on back home to this great river? This day has meant so much to the lower Elwha tribe. Not only is it a part of their history and their culture, but it's important that they leave their legacy to their children about the past and about the future. It's about those elders and those who've gone before them looking down and saying, you got it right, Francis Charles, and we thank you for it. Congratulations to what you're going to leave to the future of the Elwha tribe. This historic removal of these dams will be a great boost to the economy of this area and to our state. I can only imagine the increased tourism that will come here to see it. People will hear about it, they'll travel, and they will celebrate the 100 years and the return. This is one more reason for people to get out west. That's where we love nature, and we've got better nature than anybody else in the world. To enjoy what makes the American West a place like no other place, and the best place in the world to visit and to enjoy. Just one example, whitewater enthusiasts will have a new river to run, nearly entire 45 miles. The removal of the dams will return our natural sediment to restore our wetlands, beaches, the river estuary, and improve the ecosystem of the watershed. And finally, it'll bring hundreds of construction jobs to an area of our state that is in dire need of economic development. This is a great day for the people of Port Angeles, for the people of Clallam County, for the Elwha tribe, for the people of Washington State. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a great day for Mother Nature. Again, I want to congratulate everybody who is here, everybody who's made this day possible. I look forward to the day when I can come back with my not imaginary grandchildren, but my real grandchildren, to see this river flowing free again. Congratulations, everyone. It's not every day that the people of this area get to welcome the Interior Secretary of the United States. And frankly, Mr. Secretary, I suspect it's the only time we've been able to welcome the Secretary of Interior. Ken Salazar is first and foremost a friend. He's a fellow Westerner, so he understands about what the West is all about. He has served the people of the great state of Colorado as their United States Senator. And when I got to know Ken is when we together served as Attorneys General for his great state. He's now serving, of course, as President Obama's Interior Secretary. I can tell you this is a man who comes from sturdy stock, who has the exact same values that we all share today. I think it was one of the best appointments the President could have made. He's helping us here in Washington State on critical environment and economic issues. He's helping us by later today going and seeing what we've been able to do at Nisqually. That's an amazing success story. Tomorrow we'll go over and look at the Yakima and see what's going on with the water issues there. We'll be joined by Senator Cantwell in doing so. We will show him what the potential is for the people of the state of Washington, and I know he embraces and wants to see us be the success that we can be. The one thing I know about Ken Salazar is he knows the truth about what Mark Twain's quip about water in the West really means. Whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. He has stood tall to make sure the people of the Pacific Northwest are encouraged to preserve their water, their natural habitats, Mother Nature, and make it all that it can be. He's a great leader for the country now as Interior Secretary. He's a great friend to all of us here. Mr. Secretary, I can't miss the opportunity to say, take down those dams, and we're glad you're here. Welcome, please, the great Secretary of Interior, Ken Salazar.
I'm here today on behalf of President Obama, who, when he brought me in to be Secretary of Interior, there were a number of priorities that we agreed upon. One of those priorities was to make sure that we were standing up for tribal issues which had been so long neglected in these United States for over 4 centuries. Another priority was for us to move forward with a new conservation agenda for the 21st century. Today here in Lower Elwha River, we deliver, and I'm proud of that. And I want to come back and talk about those 2 things in just a minute. But before I do that, I have to say something about people who are up here on this stage with me. I sometimes look at the state of Washington and I say, if only the rest of the world could be like Washington, where you have 2 United States women senators and a female governor. If only the rest of the world was like that, we might be able to solve all the issues, including the issues of war and peace. I know the 3 of them very well, some longer than others, but with Christine Gregor, obviously, in the great work in the National Association of Attorneys General, her leadership on the tobacco litigation to save the health of millions of Americans, to her great work here as governor, to Patty Murray, who has been one of the foremost leaders in the United States Senate and who's been given an assignment which will define really the future of our world, and to Maria Cantwell, who loves to climb the 14ers, from Mount Rainier to the 14ers in my state, and has a great passion for the outdoors. Joined today, again, by Mary Frances, who is doing a great job as a woman leader of a tribal nation. I'd like them all to stand up, and let's give them a round of applause for what they have done. Stand up. Yeah. have to do some research, but I don't think you'd see that anywhere else in the United States. And so Washington, as usual, is at the point of the spear. I have to say a quick word about Norm Dix. Norm Dix has a fighting spirit of the Huskies in him. And I learned that about the first nanosecond when it was learned that I had been appointed Secretary of Interior, because he called me and he says, "You're going to be able to get that Elwha Dam done, right?" Of course, I didn't argue with him because he controls the money for the entire Department of the Interior. But Norm Dix has done a great job for all of you, and he asked me to come here a long time ago. Give him another round of applause for his great leadership. I was Senator Cantwell and Senator Murray know so well. Being a United States Senator is truly a gift for any of us who have that privilege to serve. So it was not an easy decision for me to leave the United States Senate, where I was representing the state of Colorado, to become a member of the President's cabinet. I would not have done Attorney General. I would not have done any of the other positions that were talked about in those times. But I did agree to do the United States Department of Interior because we are the custodians of the natural resources and the natural heritage of America. And I could not be more proud of the people that the President and I have recruited and appointed to run the Department of Interior. I want them to stand up again. John Jarvis, the Director of National Park Service, 400 parks, 400 million visitors. Stand up, John. Okay. Larry Echohawk, stay standing. Larry Echohawk oversees all of our trust relationships with Indian country all over this world. I remember working so hard in 1994 to get him. He was Attorney General of Idaho and a great leader of that state, and now continues to give so much of his passion back to Indian country. Mike Connor from New Mexico. Mike Connor from New Mexico. You know, there are a few people who know the water issues of the country and the West in the way that Mike Connor does. And there are many of us who have often said that Mike Connor should go back to New Mexico and be a United States Senator because he is of that quality. So he is a wonderful person, and without him we wouldn't be here today. So give my team a round of applause. Let me make two comments on behalf of the President. First, so much of what we are doing here today, so much of what we have heard in the blessing by Ben Charles, or the blessing from Ben, or the great statement that we've heard from other tribal leaders and their songs, has to do with how we in this country honor our first Americans. We all know that the first Americans were here long before we came. Okay, they're here since time immemorial. You know, some of us here may ask ourselves, well, how long have you lived here in this country? And you can say a generation or two or 3 or 4, and in my case, and my daughter Melinda's case, who's here with me today, we can say about 400 years, but that's nothing. That's nothing in comparison to the time that Native Americans have inhabited these lands that we call the United States of America. And yet, for 4 centuries, this country looked the other way, if not in persecution and in oppression. They never recognized the treaty rights and other rights that were inherent in all of those treaties for Native Americans. So Barack Obama, who has the title of the honorary name of Black Eagle from the Crow tribe in Montana, said to me, one of my highest priorities is that you work on behalf of Native American interests and make sure that they get their rightful place at the table. So with Larry Echohawk, we have worked hard to make sure that we create the kind of relationship that respects the sovereignty relationship of Indian tribes. We worked hard to create new economic development opportunities for Indian tribes. We worked hard to deal with tribal law and order issues which are difficult in Indian country. We worked hard to create new education opportunities for Indian country. And I can tell you, whether it's a settlement of Cobell or the huge cases that we dealt with on water, there's a lot more to come. So we look forward to continuing in that partnership. Secondly, the President also asked me to work on the conservation issues of our time. And so we have wrapped the conservation issues of this time around the theme of America's great outdoors. There are many aspects of America's great outdoors. I'll mention 3 very quickly here. One of them is protecting the great rural landscapes of America, where many people have worked on the restoration of the crown of the continent in Montana, or the Dakota grasslands in South Dakota, or the Everglades in southern Florida, or here in the Elwha River. But we have a lot more to do on that front in terms of the restoration of the great landscapes of America, and we're working hard at it. A second was to try to create a new agenda for the people of America so that they can access, as urban populations, more of what they have in their own cities. So we are working with New York and St. Louis and San Francisco, a number of other cities, to usher in a new generation of great urban parks. And that's important because that's where most of our population lives. But the third part of the America's Great Outdoors agenda for me has been on the restoration of America's rivers. The restoration of America's rivers. And today, here, as we celebrate this occasion on the Lower Elwha River, I want to say that this is part of the river restoration agenda of the America's Great Outdoors. And because of the length of time that people like Senator Bradley and the dignitaries who are up here and the tribal leadership have worked on it so hard, this is really at the point of the spear of what we need to do with respect to the river restoration of America. So it doesn't matter whether we're here at the Elwha Dam today in this celebration, or where I will be in California tomorrow at the San Joaquin River and several other rivers where we're taking on these kinds of activities. We need to recognize that there is a new era that has dawned with respect to how we appreciate our rivers. I come from a state that is very arid, in the southern part very poor. It's an area where we have a water rights doctrine called the Prior Appropriation Doctrine. And what that essentially allows you to do as an owner of a water right is to command 100% of the flow of the stream of any river if your water right is in priority. And so there are many rivers that have been dried up around the country. And it's been only in these recent times that we have seen us turning our faces to the river. In the South Platte River through Denver, Colorado, for the longest time, that river was used as the dumping ground for the city and county of Denver. That's where the Denver municipal waste would be dumped in for so many years. And yet today, in 2011, we see that the South Platte River through Denver has become the economic renaissance of Denver and in Colorado. And so as we look at our rivers, as we look at the Lower Elwha River, it's important for us to recognize the forward-thinking values that all of you who have fought so hard for this project, what those values all mean here. Now, there will be a debate, and there is a debate. Some people will say that you can't do river restoration and job creation, that the agenda of conservation somehow is antithetical to the job creation crisis which we face in America. But I can tell you, Governor Gregoire and the congressional leadership up here on this podium disagree, because we can do conservation and environmental restoration and we can have good economics. The outdoor industry alone has, in their own studies, found that there's about 6.5 million jobs a year that are created through outdoor recreation. And in a recent study that I commissioned through the Department of Interior, we found that there was another 2.2 to 3.3 million jobs that could be created through the kind of activity that we are undertaking here. So when you look at this Elwha Dam restoration, the coming down of this dam over the last 2 years, I will suggest to the critics that they ought to see this as a huge economic opportunity for this great part of the state. And in 20 years and 50 years and 100 years, when people come here to visit this place, they will come not only to see the richness of its people in their spirit, but also the very richness of its place in the way the Mother Nature created it for all of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3. Let's
Oh my word. Oh my word. Oh, there you go.
I think it's an awesome day. Very beautiful, good weather, very exciting, very happy.
Hooray, hooray, hooray. If I could jump, I'd get up and jump.
To return to the City Hall,
continue to pray
on that second group of buses
will
There'll be
take
one
place.
bus marked
So
with a
thank you
2. It'll be a
for
blue bus with
everything.
a 2. That'll be going.
Very emotional, very happy. Can't help but think of our ancestors and our parents that guided us along this path. Very rewarding today.
Oh, I'm all for it. It's like I said before in my interviews, I'm happy for it. I probably won't see it in abundance like it had been before, but it'll be my grandchildren, great-grandchildren to see. And hopefully it'll all come back. Not only for the fish, but also for wildlife and all the medicinal plants that used to grow by the river.